I wrote this book for people who don't like to read because I never liked, I fell asleep when I read. I'm more of a visual person. I would love it if my book turns into a movie.
I love how you said romance is free. That's so powerful and it's so meaningful. Little note on the card, the whisper in the ear, those things used to exist. Now it's so superficial.
You know how they say don't judge a book by its cover? Like they're looking at me. Who is she to write? You in their head, you have to be young, thin, and beautiful to know about romance.
When you are writing a book and you are an author, your goal is to make it. You want to make it. That makes me think like how much of stories are changed, like authentic stories that are written, but the person that just desperately wants to make it will probably make up or falsify.
She said, Sevan, you're going to punch her face in, and I'm not going to see it and say that she ran into the wall.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. On today's episode, we talked about publishing. We're talking about a self-made author, Sevan Minaskanian. Sevan wrote a beautiful book called Wintertime, and it's a story of love. She's actually a romance writer, and it's a saga. So she has her second book coming out, a third, and possibly a fourth. And I'm so honored that she was on the show today. In today's episode, we dived into the story and how the story was born and how the writing process was for her, but also the journey as a self-made author and how difficult it can be sometimes. So she talked about her personal journey, how her story was born, and the process of the book. Now, something that really caught my attention and why I wanted Sevan on the show is how this book portrays traditional values and morals. This is such a refreshing book for any family or teenager to read because it really shows traditional ways of living, good, proper way of living. And I'm so grateful that this book is proper and really teaches teenagers about saving themselves, about true love, about family, about Christianity, and how she said romance is free. Now, in today's world, everything is so superficial, including romance, but she specifically wanted to make sure that when teenagers read this book, they really have a deeper understanding what true love is, and it's not supposed to be superficial. So I really wanted to present her to all of you and her saga to all of you. I think that many of us should be so appreciative of authors like this and how it's difficult to be a self-made author, but not only to keep our traditions alive as human beings. So I'm very grateful for today's conversation and such good laughs as well because she's such a comedian and such an honor and joy to have around. Enjoy this episode with Sevan Minaskanyan. I'll link everything and all the details of where you can get the book and where you can find her. Her books are sold at several Barnes and Nobles in the country, in more than 12 countries, and also in more than, I think, around 50 libraries and bookstores worldwide. So such an honor to have her around, and definitely you guys will connect with her. Enjoy this episode. Make sure to subscribe and tune into the channel. Thank you so much for constantly supporting me, and enjoy the episode. Sevan, thank you so much for joining me today. I'd like to say that it is such an honor to have an individual like yourself on my show. I love the work you do. I think it's phenomenal. I think it's meaningful, and it definitely deserves all the praise in the world. And I'm very happy that you chose this show, and I'm very grateful to have you today.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me and giving me a chance. A first time author. Usually people aren't this nice. So thank you very
Oh
much.
my goodness, of course.
What would you like to know?
I love you. Let's start with the book. What I want to know is how was this novel born? How did you have the idea to even write such phenomenal series like Wintertime?
This specific story all started with a trip to Vail for me and my husband's wedding anniversary.
Uh-huh.
So it all started on a bridge in Vale, and um, something very weird happened to me on that bridge. And I was shocked. Then I was very emotional, and then I was hesitant to tell others because my husband was the only one that was there witnessing what happened. So, if you like to know, I'd like to tell you
Yes, I was
about
just
that.
going to say, what happened on that bridge?
We were walking around. Vale, it has a modern side and an old town side with cobblestones, which is my favorite because it reminds me of Europe, even though I've never been to Europe, just in the movies. And we were walking. I told my husband, I hear water noise. And he said, "Oh, it's probably some fountain in front of the restaurant." I said, "No, no, this is a very strong water noise. It has to be at least a creek or a river." So we walked, got closer to the noise, and we crossed the street. And sure enough, on the bridge, I looked down. There was a huge river with beautiful forest trees on the right and beautiful mansions on the left. And the mansions weren't gated, so I could go near it and see what they looked like because they were very interesting looking. But on that bridge, I looked down and I just stood there, and my husband's waiting for me. He's like, "Okay, we had enough?" I said, "No, I don't want to leave." And he's like, "I know you like nature, but we got to go because we weren't supposed to stay there. We're supposed to continue to go to Colorado Springs."
So you guys were driving there, basically. This
Driving,
was on your drive. Uh-huh.
drive, yeah, because just like the character in my book, I don't fly. I'm afraid of flying. I had to give something of me to the character.
Yes.
So he waited about 15, 20 minutes, and another half an hour. He's like, "Okay, this is not normal." So then I burst into tears. And he's like, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "My father's here. My father died." So it was like 5 years before that he died.
How old were you when your father died?
46.
My goodness.
Yeah. I don't know if my husband was trying to comfort me, but I could see the scared look in his eyes. Like he's like, "What are you telling me?" I
Uh-huh.
said, "I'm sorry, I'm not leaving." So I stood there, waited, waited. I said, "I feel him around the corner." I made my poor husband walk on the cul-de-sac with me, and the cul-de-sac ended. And he's like, he's not here. I mean, I know he's not there, but I felt his presence. So, long story short, 3 hours later, he finally convinced me to get in the car so we can continue because once it gets dark, we don't know the road. We don't want to get stuck somewhere. So the only way I could get into the car, I said to him, is if you promise me on the way back home, you stop on this bridge again. I felt close to my father there. And he's like, "Okay." I don't know if he said okay to get me in the car at that moment, but he did, on the way back, he did stop and let me get on that bridge. So we had our anniversary at Colorado Springs at Broadmoor Hotel. We had fun. It was really nice. I love my kids, but it was really nice to be to be alone with
Away
my
from them.
husband. Yeah. So I got back, and I was sitting one day, and my husband goes, "You know, I brought you a laptop." Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm not good with technology. And I said, "Oh, I used every excuse. Oh, I don't want to use it." And he goes, "I see you writing." I said, "Yeah, I'm writing on a journal, just
What were you
writing."
writing
First, what I wrote, what I experienced, and
there?
then there on the bridge, and then I thought, "Oh my gosh, it's so embarrassing. People are gonna think I'm crazy if I tell them this." So I didn't put that in the book. Then I started writing a story, and then I got so emotional, I closed it and put it away. So I told myself, until my father comes in my dream and tells me, "Go ahead and write," I'm not gonna write. So I didn't write. I wrote 2 pages and I stopped. A whole year went by, nothing. I went to his grave, nothing. I was like, "Okay, I'm forcing it too much." So I let it go. Soon as I let it go, I kid you not, 3 days later, when I just put everything away and gave up, he came to me in my dream. He said, "Why aren't you writing?" What if I tell you the feeling that I felt? I didn't want to wake up because I knew if I woke up, I even knew in my dream that it was a dream. He goes, why aren't you writing? I said, you're here because I wanted you to come. You're not here because I forced you to come. In my head, I wanted you to come. You're not really here. Prove it to me. He goes, okay. Why were you crying on that bridge? I lost it. How does he know I was on the bridge crying? He goes, you were looking for me. I felt it. So I'm telling you, write your story. And my dad does have a very good ability to tell stories. Unfortunately, he never got published, but he wrote beautiful stories on trip to Hayastan, all the places. He's a very good writer.
Really?
Yeah. But he's also a machinist, and he used to also play the round football, our football, um, as a young kid. He played everywhere. So he wasn't just a writer, but I got that uh, ability from him to.
Did you grow up watching him write?
Yes, but I never, you think your father's there all forever. I never said what, because his words were in Armenian. He only wrote in Armenian. His words were very big. So every other word I had to ask him what it meant. And as a young kid, you lose interest. So I was like, Dad, why do you write like a philosopher? I can't understand what you're saying. So my mom would translate some of the stuff. So
Were they good?
very good, very good.
Do you have some of those?
Oh yes, I kept all of it. My mom, after I wrote the first book, put it in a box and gave me the whole thing. Everything he wrote. He wrote pages after pages after pages. It's too bad that I never he never got published. But one day, his experience to Hayastan and what he felt seeing everything, Armenia, I should say for the people. Yeah, it would be very nice if I could publish that for him because it's amazing, amazing. I definitely need a very good Armenian speaker for him to even or her
to translate it,
translate everything. So,
were you close with your dad?
Very. I was the one that got away with everything.
No. How many siblings do you have?
I have an older sister and an older brother.
You're the youngest.
I'm the youngest, so I got away with, everything. Even if my dad was angry at me, I would crack him up, and he would just forgive and.
What do you miss most about him?
The way he would show me how life is. His advice. Because I jump right away into believing everybody or getting angry. He would teach me, no, look at it calmly, more logically, not emotionally. A lot of the stuff that he said to me as a young kid, I was like, yeah, it's not like that anymore. Boy, am I wrong. It's like that, even worse.
Yeah.
Like something simple as when you go to somebody's house, don't open the refrigerator. If you need something, you ask for it. Kids nowadays. My mom says that too. That's something just simple that came to mind. Or he would don't get too close too fast with someone because then the opposite can happen.
Keep your boundaries.
Give it time. Don't forget you're Armenian first. Don't forget how to speak right, and because I didn't go to Armenian school. I came here, I was very young. My mom gave me lessons, even though she's not a teacher. I would have to do homework after school, which drove me nuts back then. But I'm very happy because now my kids went to Armenian school, and I was the one helping them with the homework. So I miss the pranks that we used to do on him because he was so nice. I miss his laughs. I don't know. I miss so many things that I thought would be there forever. So whoever's listening to this, 24/7, if you can be with your parents, be with your parents because you never know. I mean, we weren't ready when he passed away. We thought he had a back pain. He went to the hospital. 2 weeks later, he had cancer. We didn't know he died.
Oh my goodness.
It was very quick, very fast. So I had no time to process it and say goodbye to him. So I was very angry. That's why I didn't believe when he came in my dream. I thought I was forcing myself to see him in my dream. But when he said he saw me crying on the bridge, I knew he really was there. And I said this a couple of times on my book signings for my book, but never in details to how why I started writing the story. I mean, I write what I know. My dad didn't write about romance, but I'm not going to write about something I don't know. I'm not going to Google it and then copy paste and put a book together or have AI write it nowadays. That's what they do.
True.
So I wrote what I know, and I know a lot about romance. And
Bow chicka bow
yeah,
bow.
exactly.
Break the ice a
Yes,
little bit.
yeah. And that's what I wrote. I started, and then the minute he said that, it took me only 3 months to write the book. And then after that, believe it or not, once you write the book,
Mm-hmm.
that's not the hard part. If you know how to tell stories, that is. The hard part is after that. Getting it to where it is now is the hardest thing I ever went through. But I think God did it that way because now I know every step of how it's done.
Mm-hmm.
Whether because this is self-published, but once I do the second book, will hopefully, God willing, will be to the big five, as they call it, published by a real publisher. Not that these aren't real publishers, but that's what they
Yes,
call
of
them.
course.
I would know the step. Like if somebody's trying to,
Mm-hmm.
twist the truth a little bit, I would catch them. So maybe this was meant to be so I can learn
Mm-hmm.
and I know what is my right, what I can ask for, and what's expected of me and what to be expected of them. So,
Yeah, and
I
it's
would-
a whole different journey writing a book
oh,
and having it being published.
completely. I had no clue until now. People think that you just get
Yeah.
on the. It's not like that.
No.
Writer's block is the worst thing. Not coming up with stories is even, really bad. And if you don't have a good memory, do not write a book because you'll forget what the character said. Because it's not just two main characters, it's, you know, 4 or 5 other characters that help the plot. So if you forget what they said, later on you say something and then you say the line to the wrong character.
Mm.
So if you don't have a good memory of writing a good story like that, do not, or you have to make a lot of notes.
I read a lot. I'm a big fan of reading, and it doesn't nothing specific. I read everything.
Yes.
But one thing that I've learned, being 40 years old and living for 40 years and education as well, storytelling is so important. It's like essential in a human's life.
Yeah.
And why do you, as an author, why do you think that storytelling is important for children and adults? Why is it such an essential piece of a person's life?
I'll be honest with you. I shouldn't be saying this as an author because I am a new author. I never studied, I never took literature. This wasn't my major. I'm a dental technician, even though I didn't do any of that either.
Yeah.
Typical, you get your diploma and you get married and you forget about.
Yeah.
Anyway, I wrote this book for people who don't like to read because I fell asleep when I read. I'm more of a visual person.
Mm-hmm.
I would love it if my book turns into a movie. I actually wrote it because I want it to be a movie, but I also wrote this if I can just help one child to read and start liking reading. And now that I wrote, I see how important it is for young kids to read.
Mm-hmm.
I would be very happy if I could just get one person to understand. And my point of view, when I started writing, I understood how to read another book. It was the weirdest thing because I knew how things were being set. I stopped falling asleep when I read another book. So, and this book, the way I wrote it, because I'm already older and I know how to do it, I'm not going to start from my position. So I started from back to zero. How can I make the
Mm-hmm.
children, kids, teens read a book? So what I did is, first, I did not use big words because if you get the reader to stop and look and ask Siri what the word means, you lost them. So I wrote it very simple and very fluffy, especially the first book, just to get them,
Mm-hmm.
intrigued and want to read instead of getting on the TV
Mm-hmm.
or getting on the computer or playing video games or whatever. So I know that there's enough books for Americans and other ethnicity. They've written many, many books. When I wanted to write this book, I realized that Armenians, we had a lot of romantic authors. I'm not saying I'm the first one, but we didn't have any for now. And as an Armenian romance author, even Barnes and Noble said you were the first one.
Mm-hmm.
We've never, usually it's about, genocide
Yeah.
or kids' books, which is fine. But I wanted to write about love, and I wanted to write about how to save yourself if you can for marriage. But
Wow.
I did not want to write by telling them how to do it, because you tell any teenager, they're not going to listen. But if you tell through a love story and they see how romance can happen, and romance, even though these kids, they're very elaborate, they go to a lot of lavish vacations, but the romance part is free. So I wanted to teach the young men, especially Armenian young men, you don't have to spend a lot of money to have romance in your life, because uh, you know romance isn't buying
Yeah.
a Louis Vuitton bag,
Yeah, absolutely.
and that's a temporary happiness. I wanted them to be happy forever. And so there was that one section of why I wanted to write. I wanted the kids to read. I even did the pages bigger, white with the
Mhm.
big font.
You
Just
did. It's easy. It's
easy,
easy
yeah,
and legible.
yes. And I, um, even though my book is called YA, it's a fiction YA
Mhm.
romance, but so many older people, they're reading it. They feel connected. They can relate. Nobody's born this age. Everybody was a
That's
teenager
right.
once.
That's right.
And because it's such an old-fashioned kind of love, that I got older people reading it. I mean, my biggest fan is 63 years old.
That's
She's
lovely.
yeah, she's she does all these beautiful things and sends me stuff, and you'd think she was a 13-year-old teenager.
What's interesting to me is that you have this agenda behind your story, and that's to teach younger generation values and morals and the importance of these values and morals.
Yes.
Where do you think that's stemming from?
My parents.
Why save yourself or save yourself for marriage? That's very powerful to portray that in a story.
I wanted to teach them when they read this book. Yes, I'm not saying the whole thing is about, I'm not quoting the Bible or anything.
Mhm.
You got to make it believable. It's not like the whole time they're just being good. They're still doing some stuff, but
Mhm.
not, you know.
Mhm.
And I wanted to teach them, because nowadays I feel like the process of these teenagers, I'm not saying all, some teenagers, from meeting someone and going to bed is
Mhm.
1 to 2 dates, and
That's
sometimes
true.
not even, you know, 3 dates. It shouldn't be like that.
Mhm.
If And then they're turn around and they say, well, if I don't do it the guy, or the other way, if the girl's gonna go to somebody else, to another guy. But if we all stick together and follow that rule, where's the guy gonna go to? Or where's the girl gonna go to? We all have to do it. It can't just be, you know, Jennifer, is saying she's gonna save herself, but then Stephanie goes and
Mhm.
sleeps with your man, then
Yeah.
the lesson isn't learned. So I wanted to teach every teen, everybody, Armenian, American, doesn't matter. Try to save yourself, to look something forward to. Everything is accelerated.
Yeah.
Uh, the makeup, the giving the phone too early to the kid, going
Yeah.
to a
Yeah.
rated R movie, uh, going to parties. By the time they're 25, they're bored.
Yeah,
There's
they're exposed.
nothing left for excitement. So enjoy each age, because you can't go back.
Yeah.
I mean, look at me. I had to get up at 7 in the morning to look like this. If I was 18, 17, I would get up 20 minutes before I got here, because I knew I didn't have to color all my lines.
Yeah.
You know? So if I knew, like back then, how easy it was, but now I know. Now I know. What I'm saying is, Learn from experience when someone tells you. Yes, some of the stuff you want to do on your own, but I'm telling you, don't do the stuff that you don't need so that when you do wear this heavy makeup, it's for the special occasion. But, some of these influencers and TikTokers, I understand they have to do it. But
Yeah.
I see sometimes these teenagers, they're so beautiful. They don't look better with makeup. I tell them, enjoy every age, enjoy your morals, enjoy your family, respect. They hate their brother. The brother hates the sister. The mother. It's like, where did this all come from?
Mm-hmm.
How come, like, my parents, my dad, taught me, you when someone older than you comes into a room, you stand up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, stuff like that. It's missing. It's missing. Not that my story is about that, but I want to get their attention through the romantic way because that's the only way they're gonna pay attention to it. I mean, maybe I'm different because my mom and my dad would like I'll give you a sample. My mom would say every Saturday morning I would get up and every other kid's watching Scooby Dooby Doo or whatever. You're watching a black and white movie, old fashioned romance. And she would ask my dad,
Wow.
is this normal? She's 7 and she's watching. And she knew nothing was in those movies because it's like Turner Classic, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And those black and white movies,
Yeah, they're innocent.
they're innocent. There
They're
was nothing in
innocent.
the movie. So that's what I would watch. I would like wish until now I say I wish I was born back then where I'm a teenager in the 40s and 50s because that's the era I like, you know? I love just holding hands was a big deal. It was so romantic. A guy would take off the hat when you come in, when a woman would come in, or whatever. I know that those were movies too. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
that, but they still had it. It wasn't just completely made up. No, there's
Yeah.
you have to say, get up, say hi to your uncle. When somebody comes home, get out of your room. Say like we naturally did that. So
So if parents are going to be watching this, what do you think their children are going to take away from reading Wintertime?
number one, they're gonna say, if she can do it, I can do it. Because again, I'm not a teenager. I waited until now. I'm 50 something. I don't care. I'm 55. I don't care.
For a minute, I was like, "You want
Yeah.
some water?"
No. So even though I wrote this book at 47, and I'll tell you, I was done at 47. I started at 46, and I'll tell you why later,
Mm-hmm.
why it took this long. Um, uh, for a girl, a young lady, uh, to go for her dream. For a young guy, not to feel embarrassed, oh, I'm a man, I shouldn't, they want to read it, but, they might be embarrassed. But whatever they want to write about, doesn't have to be romance, any genre.
Mm-hmm.
They want to write historical fiction, you know, thriller, whatever they want. Or even a nonfiction, if they want to do self help. I wanted to show them at any age, don't be embarrassed. Don't say, oh, what if such and such people, whatever, they make fun of me. What if they laugh at me? What if I write it wrong? Well, you tell the story. It's the editor's job. That's why I tell people, whatever mistake is in there, it's not my fault. It's my editor. And all the good parts are taken out. It's my editor's job. So I wanted to tell them, write your love. And some kids are also afraid to tell their parents because their parents want them to be doctors, lawyers, this, that, whatever. You can, if you want to do that, do that. This is until this takes off, and then you slowly, you
Mm.
could find your path. So I want to teach them that's one of the things, and save yourself if you can. And the most of all, I want to teach the young teens romance is free. You don't need to bring 500 red roses for someone on Valentine's Day. You can even cut one red rose from your yard or the neighbor's yard or whatever. And if you're romantic when you're giving it, whisper something in her ear, or vice versa. If you want to give him whatever he likes, I know that he's not going to want a rose, whatever, something simple. Chocolate. He likes, let's say he just likes dark chocolate. You take him chocolate. And just that connection. You don't have to spend money on a girl, and girls don't have to spend a lot of money on a guy. Now, yes, there's a special occasions if it's a birthday or
Mm-hmm.
graduation. Of course you do. I'm talking about everyday romance. Leave a note on her windshield wiper on her car. Like leave a note. It doesn't even have to be a card from Hallmark. Okay.
But the things that you're and sorry to cut you off, but the things that you're explaining to those things existed in one time. These I love how you said romance is free.
Yes.
That's so powerful and it's so meaningful and that you're right. The little note on the car, the whisper in the ear, those things used to exist.
Yes.
Now it's so superficial.
It is. It is.
And so you're saying that the book teaches and guides or talks about that. The story is about
It
non-superficial love.
yes, again, these characters, they're very extremely beyond rich. That's another subject that I want to talk to you about. But William, the main character,
Mhm.
shows Victoria love for free. It's his love and romance is free.
Even though he has.
He has it, he spends it, but she has it too. That's not what they're looking for.
Something much deeper.
Something much deeper. I'll bring you a small sample. You're a mother, I'm a mother. Don't you feel like you do laundry constantly?
Every other day.
Yeah, I do it every day. And I tell my husband, I know when we go to sleep, another family's living here. Because when I wake up in the morning, I just did it last night. How is it? Anyway, another story. But when he sees, me going off, he'll leave. Like one time he drew a little piece of paper like this, says, I love you this much. And he threw it down the laundry chute for me. So when I took that, like, I was like, oh, see,
Wow.
I was upset that I was doing laundry and I put a smile on my face. That, oh, and I still kept it. I've had it for 10 years. I put it away.
How's your marriage?
Oh, very
Sevan?
well. Very well.
It sounds like that.
Yeah. Yeah. We're definitely, the pot found the lid. He's, I'm a go, and very hyper, and he's a calmer downer. He don't get excited. Don't get angry.
Yeah.
The freeway's not all yours. People are going to drive slow.
He says that?
Yeah, because I'm like, yeah, when I'm driving. I was like, pull to the right. If you're going slow, pull to the right.
I love that.
Yeah,
The freeways in
Yeah,
yours.
the freeways. Yes, and we love not waiting in line too. That's another thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the line
Have
is
you
for
noticed,
others.
though, everything is in such rush today? Even
Yeah.
reading is a
Yeah,
rush.
yeah,
Rush.
Yeah.
Hurry up. 15 minutes.
yes.
When is it time? When's that 1 minute left?
I made sure they don't find what are those called? The notes, the cheat notes
Yeah.
for a book, because they have them.
Can you tell us about those notes in the books? I never even read the notes. Why is it there?
For the lazy.
It's like,
Like,
here's
yeah,
what we talked
yeah,
about.
Yeah,
You don't have to read it.
Yeah.
Here's what it is. Like, I never go to that. I find it extremely disrespectful.
You will never know the details. Even in movies, they take this book, let's
Yeah.
just say, turns into a movie.
when it turns into
When
a
it turns
movie.
into a movie, in a 1.5 hour, you're not gonna know what Victoria. Yes,
Yeah.
you're gonna see more of the looks and their movements
Mhm.
and stuff, because obviously the book doesn't show that. But the book will make you imagine what's happening. So every person can imagine it different. I can imagine what I'm writing different, and then you could read the same story and you'll imagine William the way you would like William to look, the way you think he's being romantic. Is he, when he gives the flower, is he like this? Is he one out, hand out,
Mhm.
whatever? Like you can imagine all
Yeah,
these
heavy
things.
visuals.
Visual, yeah, because the visual's not in front of you. It's not a movie yet.
Would you consider this as a fantasy book?
No, I mean it's my fantasy,
Mm-hmm.
but it's there are guys and girls that still exist like that. It's just I think we have to leave Los Angeles to find them. Nothing against LA people. I live here. I live here, but because I've been to those other states.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't fly there. We took a road trip, and I saw how the South still lives.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing.
Yes.
Amazing.
Where particularly in the South?
I went to Natchez, Mississippi.
Mm-hmm. True Southerners.
Yes. I went to.
Don't you open that door, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes. You all come back and see us now. You hear?
Don't
No,
you
that's
open that
Texas.
door, ma'am.
Yeah. Jackson, Mississippi. I went to Georgia.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, The way the people lived, it feels like time froze.
Would you ever live in any of those states?
Yes, but then I have to take all the Armenians with me.
Because they belong to us. Yeah, we
Yeah.
belong to
Or else,
them.
believe me, I would. I would. It's so
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
slow. People enjoy. It's like the 50s. People at night, I mean, they don't even lock the front door.
Sevan, when I'm hearing you talk, and that's part of my world, right? I observe people and the words that they say. When I hear you talk, you mention a lot of maybe values, maybe the way people lived from the 1940s and 50s. You even watched movies at such a young age from the 1940s and 50s. Why do you think you're drawn to that era?
According to my husband, I was already born in that era and died and came back.
I believe in things like that.
Like he jokes around.
But I believe in that
Yeah.
because it could be, yeah. Does that era attract you?
Very much in every way. Their vocabulary, the way, even back then, they never said, "How are you?" They said, "How do you do?" I think it's so beautiful.
It is beautiful.
The way they dressed. Nobody went
Let's
out.
talk about the way they dress.
Oh,
Let's
in
talk
love.
about the
In love.
ladies and the not the leggings.
Yes, yes.
I
mean,
appropriate dresses. I mean, like, what I love though? I feel like our mothers still dress like my
Yes.
grandmother,
oh yes,
heels.
even to the market.
Yeah, to
Yeah,
the market.
yeah.
Those like grandma heels,
Yes,
the black ones.
Yes, yes,
Hair done, red
Yes.
lipstick on point,
Yes.
nice chiffon top with a
Yes.
scarf,
yes.
a cardigan,
Pin.
and a beautiful black pencil skirt.
Yes, yes.
Where did those times go?
When you order everything super big, what is that? McDonald's French fries?
Yeah, super meal. I think
Super-
what it's called.
No,
yeah.
the French fries is called something I forgot.
Yeah.
Super. Everything. Some of it is when you gain weight, you don't want to dress like that because everything looks funny on you. I know that that's a really bad thing to say
Oh, but that makes sense.
because heels
There's
hurt
a
because you're
deeper meaning.
heavy.
Yeah.
Your feet
Yeah.
start hurting.
Yeah.
Some of it is that.
Yeah.
Some of it is
Mentality.
because
Mental
okay,
state.
you see, but you shouldn't do it because other people are doing it. I used to wear heels a lot more when I was thinner, but now my feet hurt. But I'm getting there. I'm losing it slowly. I want to lose it healthy because I did the stupid yo-yo thing up and down.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want to do it that way anymore. People don't put values in it anymore, so they don't dress like that. They said, "Oh, they must have been so uncomfortable." Yes, some of the stuff,
You think they were uncomfortable?
meaning walking everywhere, all these women with heels, because you see old movies, even old, just people taking a film of Los Angeles or New York.
I've seen those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so cute. The people are walking around.
Beautiful.
It looks like they're going to church. It's dread, and they're just walking around. So I'm attracted to the way they dressed, and I love 50s diners.
Do you still go to the 50s?
Oh, yes. I go to Beeps in Simi Valley.
Yeah.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. And my favorite singer, of course, everyone who knows me knows this. I'm a huge fan of Elvis Presley.
No way.
Oh, huge fan. So I went to Tupelo, where he was born, Mississippi. Then I went to Graceland.
Oh, Grace.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's another thing that really, when I saw him, I was like, who is he? Because I saw a poster in my cousin's house. I was like,
How old
Wow.
were you?
5. I was drawn to him. And I was like, with my mouth open for
He
like
was
10
a
minutes.
beautiful man, though.
Oh, gorgeous. The young Elvis with the
He was a beautiful.
sideburns.
He really was a beautiful
Yeah.
human being.
Very.
Like very rare features
Yes.
on a
yes.
human being. He was
Definitely.
very beautiful. And so was Priscilla.
Oh, Priscilla's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's unfortunate that his life took a toll like that.
Yes.
I've watched a lot of the documentaries on Elvis Presley, but man, yeah, those times, like the movie Grease. Do you remember Grease?
Oh, that's one of my favorite. I could say every line.
Yeah.
I love Grease. And I believe the producer or the director pushed John Travolta to look like Elvis.
Yeah.
Because they were going between James Dean and him,
Yes.
and they pushed.
And John Travolta was the perfect candidate.
You know
for
who
that.
was supposed to play that and turn it
No.
down? Fonzie from Happy Days.
No way.
Can you see Fonzie doing that?
No.
Yeah. And the girl was supposed to be the girl from Partridge Family.
No.
Yeah. And then John Travolta convinced Olivia and John.
Yeah,
to
she
do it.
passed recently. I
Yes,
think
she
a few
did.
years ago.
She did. And Elvis Presley's daughter passed too.
Yeah.
Lisa Marie passed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went to, Sun Records where he sang his first record for his mom.
Uh-huh.
Like it was $1 something for her birthday. And they didn't like him.
Mm-hmm.
A year later, they called him and they asked him to play.
This is how it goes, though. Like it took a while for him to get his deal. I think it's like that. And when great things are out there, it takes a while. Like look at Harry Potter. What J.K. Rowling?
J.K. Rowling's, yeah.
So Rowling's, excuse me. How many times did she get rejected?
Oh, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. Don't quote me. I believe she said 27. There's other authors that got rejected 50, 60 times. But J.K. Rowling's, I think it's a very nice story for the teenagers because they like that kind of stuff,
She's like the richest author in the
she
world
is.
now.
She
She's a
is.
billionaire, right?
Yeah, she's the richest
Really?
author. You have to have 3 things for your book to work. First of all, your story has to be good. You have to be at the right place at the right time when they're looking for something. And the other third one is just pure luck. I don't care what anybody says because there's a lot of books out there that are very nice stories and they never made it.
Talk to me a little bit about that because I'm sure that many people, first of all, there's a lot of authors. Like I get messages all the time. Can you help us? I'm like, I am nowhere near, so I'll always try to guide them as best as I can. But from your perspective, why is it so competitive?
Well,
don't give us the comment. I know that there's a lot of stories out there.
Yeah.
I get it. But
Yeah.
what are they looking for particularly? Is it you got to know someone? Is it that?
I'll give you a sample. The steps that they make you go through is kind of like when the poor can't afford nice dress and then they make it rich. All the designers send them clothes. But I can afford it now. Let's say somebody says, why didn't you give it to me when I couldn't afford something nice? Why didn't you give it to me then? So the book industry is the same thing. Once you write your book, you write this thing called query letter to a literary agent. It's called a literary agent is only for books. And I don't want to say anything bad about literary agents. I'm not saying all of them, but most of them will pick you up once the plane is already flying up. But
when you've done all the work.
They just want the piece of the pie after that. Like, I am asking you, because going straight to a publisher is like going to court without a lawyer. You need a literary agent because before the 80s, you just wrote a book and you went straight to the publisher.
So if you want to be publicly published, yes. But if you want to be self-published, no. The bigger piece is being published.
The best way to do it, if you can, is write the book, write the query letter, try to get an agent. Because that agent shouldn't charge you anything. They just charge percentage. Will fight for you, get you the best deal to a publisher. Once it goes to the publisher, they take care of everything. Yes, you're still going to work. I'm not saying you're not going to do social media or whatever, try to sell your book, but they do the cover. Even the titles might change. You won't have control of that, but they do everything. They know all the stores, where to send them, all around the world. Even if you want to translate it to another language. You're just a storyteller. You just write manuscript.
You just wrote the book.
And you send it to them. They have their best editors if they like you. Or they'll give you the internship editor.
Did you apply for a literary agent?
Yes.
Tell us about that story.
Yes. Oh, I would love that.
Yeah,
that's my favorite.
Yeah, I know.
Again, I don't want to upset literary agents, publishers. I'm not saying all.
Yeah.
But
your experience.
Yeah. This is my experience.
Yeah.
I could be, another person could say, no, you're wrong. My experience, whatever. After I wrote the book, I sent my query letter. Most of them started coming back. This is a great story, but not for me. This is a great story, not for me. This is a great story, not for me. Okay, maybe I'm my queries because query letters in 3 paragraphs you have to sell your whole book. It's the one of the hardest thing I had to write. How do you? And that's including one of the paragraphs about the author. So basically, just the middle.
Like a thesis
Yeah, yeah. You're how am I gonna
in a
get
couple
you
of
to
sentences. Yeah.
and then if they want it, then they say send the first chapter. If they like it, then you send the rest of the manuscript. That's how it's and then they take it and they go to the publisher. But because my experience it wasn't like that, I started getting frustrated. I was like, what is going on?
What was your experience? What were they rejecting the book?
At that time, it was during COVID. First, they were behind
Mm-hmm.
because now all these people that they already signed up, they're 2, 3 years behind because all the people that they signed up, the whole place
My gosh.
closed, and you know what happened.
Yeah.
Everybody, yeah, that was one of the reasons. The other reason was they wanted me to write about something I don't know. Can you write more? Can you the story turn into more the LGBT community? But I don't know enough about that to write. How can I write about something I don't know about?
So
They weren't saying we'll take your book, but they're saying they were looking more for that at that time.
So the literary agents wanted to change the story around to
Like if
fit
it-
more of the woke culture.
Yeah, like
because-
between 2 boys and 2 girls.
Oh my!
But mine is a
But you said you don't know
no,
much
no.
about
First
that.
of all,
and-
I'm Christian. My value,
Yeah.
I'm not
goes
judging
against-
anybody. I
No.
have many people that I know that I'm not judging, but this is
it's your story.
my story.
Yeah.
I don't know about Adam and Steve. I can't write about them.
Yeah.
But I know about William and Victoria. I know how straight love.
Yeah.
What
Works.
can you imagine me writing and then the LGBT community reads and go, this girl
Yeah.
is not. It's like I found out this one man.
It's not authentic.
Yeah.
It's not authentic.
He wrote about how to raise kids and he doesn't have children. I forgot which author it was. I was like, how do you, I mean, how do you write a book about raising kids if you don't have kids? It's kind of like me doing that. I think that's disrespectful to the LGBT community for me to write something, what they
Yeah.
went through, what they're going through, blah, 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 whatever it is.
Yeah.
and-
I understand.
And then they come out and say, this is ridiculous. This is all copy paste. She just Googled, researched, and put the book together. So
Yeah.
there's so many books out there for them that it's perfect. When you read it, you can understand it because that person experienced it and wrote their experience. Or if I want, if I write about thrillers, I don't know. First of all, I won't watch any movies like that because I'm chicken. I won't. Can you imagine me writing about that? Like, it's the same thing. So they were pushing that a little bit. And then they were.
It's so interesting to cut you off. Thriller and the LGBTQ community is what's selling out there right now.
And not fantasy, like dragons and dungeons.
Well,
and,
that book,
Yeah.
the what is it called? The Thorn, the
Yes,
Roses.
yes.
It's happening. I've
Yes,
read all
yes,
5 of them
yes.
or 4 of them.
yes, I didn't
uh,
read it, but I know about
It's
it.
very interesting.
Yeah.
But it's a fantasy.
Yeah, which is
It's a fantasy,
fine.
which is
Listen,
fine,
if
but-
that's why it's so many genres. If you like that book, doesn't mean you can't read romance. You finish that book, you read my book. You finish my book, you read the LGBT. You finish that, you read about religion. Whatever you want to
Yeah.
read about. But don't make
Wow.
that person write about something they have absolutely no idea about. It won't come out good.
But then that also makes you think about what look, when you are writing a book and you are an author, your goal is to make it. You want to make it.
Yes, of course.
So then that makes me think like how much of stories are changed, like authentic stories that are
yes.
written, but the person that just desperately wants to make it will probably
oh yes.
make up or falsify.
More than you know.
Yeah.
They changed plot lines, anything that they have to.
So that was your case. They wanted you to switch it
Yes,
around.
Yes. So because even they were being pressured, so I don't blame them either. They were.
What do you
in
think's pressuring the literary agents? The hierarchy?
because they want they want to show that they're equal,
Mhm.
which they are. From what I see, there's plenty.
Mm-hmm.
They have their own section, which is fine, but.
Wow.
But I don't want to say the agents or the publishers. Everybody was being pressured. So I said, you know what? After Corona or COVID, sorry, COVID, um, and all that, what I went through, and all the waiting I had to do, because New York was backed up. I mean, they were getting sent all these letters,
Wow.
and the whole place was closed. So they were behind. So I said, I'm going to self publish. I waited this long. I'm just going to go ahead and self publish, which in one way is good, but it has its good and
Yeah.
bad. I had the control of the cover, I had control of the title.
You didn't change the
I didn't
story?
change the story.
Yeah.
Um, I but I had to do all the selling. I had to. It took 1 year for Barnes and Noble to say yes to me to have a book signing there, especially the one in Glendale. You would think I'm Armenian,
Mm.
they would want me, but that's another question that you should ask me about what happened with the Armenians. Um, coming up. Um, but yeah, I got into finally at Burbank. Actually, the first book signing was Burbank Barnes and Noble, and it snowed that day. What are the odds that my book's
No.
called Wintertime and it snowed? I didn't think anybody was going to show up. I said, that's it. It's going to be me, my mom, my husband, and my kids. 140 people showed up. Remember the freeway? It was 405 was
Mhm.
all flooded, and there was a car turned. There was a
Mm.
guy on top, on TV, whatever. So it was that day.
No.
I had my book signing that day. What are the odds? But whatever. It was good luck, I think.
I'm so happy for
Yeah.
you. So now that your book is in Barnes and Nobles, all Barnes and Nobles,
All of them, yes.
this is amazing. And online too. We can get it online as well.
Barnes and Noble online and Barnes and Noble on. Most Barnes and Noble have it on the shelf. Some of them
Yeah.
you have to go and order it,
I'm so
and
happy
on
for you.
Amazon too.
Yes.
And bunch of small mom and pop stores.
Yes.
And also this thing called Ingram's Mark.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
They have it too. I
Yes.
became a member of that.
And not only there, your book is also sold worldwide. Tell us what
Yes.
countries have your book, because that's a big deal.
Yes, thank you. China,
Uh-huh.
Netherlands, Italy, England, France, Austria, New Zealand, Australia.
Everywhere.
I'm trying to remember what other country.
Did you say Switzerland to me? I remember
Austria.
Austria. Okay.
Austria. I'm working on Switzerland right now. Oh, and I know it's not another country, but Hawaii, of course.
Yeah.
Hawaii.
That's a big
And I'm
deal.
working on Alaska right now.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And so here in California, it is in, I think you said last time, over 50 bookstores?
It's
Or-
in all the colleges, universities.
All the-
Like I'm in CSUN,
Yes.
and I'm trying to get to all the universities
Mm-hmm.
through the department that, because CSUN store is not run by CSUN. They hire a company. So that company, as soon as I sell more, they were going to put it over 1,100 universities for me,
My goodness.
all around the United States, all the universities.
How's the book doing right now?
For self-published person, it's doing good. But for, do I want it to be, to go to the big five publishers compared to, Twilight, which is one of my favorite books.
I know.
Yeah.
I
I mean, look at the cover. But yeah, I'm not going to compare myself to Stephanie Myers. I mean,
You don't have to. You're too different.
yeah,
It's not a
different.
comparison.
Yeah. No, I'm saying like she's
Yeah.
she got published. through-
Yeah.
Yeah. But for a self-published, yes, I'm doing good. They always say you sell more of your first book after you have your second book,
Yeah.
and which is coming out
It's
in
true.
a couple of months, God
That's
willing.
right.
And that one's called Winter Love. And like I said, it's a trilogy.
Yes.
It's a trilogy. So
and we are so excited
yeah.
for that.
that one is more rocky road because you don't want to write the same fluffy stuff. This is the end. Their meeting, how
Yeah,
William and
yeah.
Victoria met. So it's more,
Exciting.
Exciting
It's a
and
rush
romance.
for sure.
yeah.
I want to ask you a question. Do you feel supported?
Oh, thank you for asking me.
Yeah, I do, because it's important for me and the people watching. I think that this is such a big deal for me. It is. And we don't have many young women romance writers, especially in the Armenian community specifically.
Right.
So you are a big deal for me, and I honor you. I do, because it's not easy writing a book and self-publishing. There's a lot of heart that goes into it. So this is a very genuine question. Do you feel supported as a first-time published author?
I'm going to say something else before I answer you
Sure.
because I'm afraid we're going to forget. The first book was very hard to write.
Hmm.
Second book was harder, and let me tell you why. Because I had to remember everything in the first book. That way I can say everything on the second book.
Yeah.
Everything. So whoever is listening, when I said go after your dream, make sure you know that it writing part gets easier, but remembering everything you
Yes.
said on the first book, and then you have to finish the lines on second book. So be prepared for that. So now I'll answer your question because earlier I wanted to say it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
People who I expected to support me didn't support me. People who I didn't expect to support me supported me.
Mm.
And I'm not saying everyone. I had some support on my family and cousins. I had very, very small support on my friends. Um, and I hate to say it. Earlier, you asked me where's my book at. Even Turkey has my book, but not Armenia rejected it.
You're kidding me.
No, they want me now, but I'm too hurt, so I need time to get over. The thing that people say you
Why
have.
did they reject you, Sevan?
I'll start with Armenia, and I'll continue to Los Angeles to what happened to me at Americana, Barnes and Noble. They're all about support. Am I allowed to tell you the book name of who didn't in Armenia? I mean, I don't want to get them in trouble, but
Don't say their name, just
okay.
because we don't want them to
Yeah,
come
yeah,
after.
okay, fine. I won't say the names. But when the bell rings,
I'm saying it.
okay.
Yeah.
I DM'd this person and through Instagram.
Mhm.
It was their store, and they had three of them. One, I've never been to Armenia, so I guess it's a big deal to have three different locations. One of them, they said it's in their mall, which is wow.
Mhm.
Okay, perfect. I said, I thought if anyone, I'm gonna get yes right away from them. They DM'd me back, and I sent the cover, and I told them about myself and blah blah blah, whatever I needed to say. I know I like to say a lot of blah blah blah, but it is blah 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 actually. To sell it, you have to do a lot of blah blah blahs. Um, she wrote back to me, you have to email this person. Fine, because some of these people, that's how it's done. You email them your information,
Mhm.
and they are the ones. So I emailed it, no answer. I wait 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, 2 months. I emailed again, maybe it got lost. They emailed back finally about 6 months later. Oh, this is the person who does it. I'm like, okay. So I emailed that person. And this poor man, Armenian man, leaves me a voice message in Armenian. I am a publisher, no, printer in Armenia. I print Armenian books. Why are they giving your information to me? I don't do this stuff. I'm just a printer.
Mhm.
So they just wanted to get rid of me, whatever.
Oh man.
So I wrote to them one more time. Listen, this man prints Armenian books in Armenian letters. This is in English. And why are you sending me to printer? The book's done. Oh, I swear to you, it was like, that 51st Dates, the movie?
Yeah.
She said the same thing. Oh, you're an author? Okay, you have to email. And she gave me the same email as the first time when she gave it to me.
Wow.
It's like she started from scratch.
Repeating again.
I said, listen, I already did all this. I just want to have my books in your store. To be honest with you, by the time I was so angry, like I said, I took a lot of the books and I told Mike, which I'm going to send them out, just take it to the villages and give it for free. It wasn't for Armenia. It wasn't for the money. I just wanted the Armenian kids to see that, you can write in any language, Armenian, English, whatever you know, you're
Yeah.
best. It was for that. It wasn't for the money. For everything else, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Do you want to be rich and famous? Yes, I do. Did you write it, or you wrote it to tell your story? I wrote it to tell my story, and I want to be rich and
Of
famous.
course you do. Of
Nothing's
course.
wrong with saying
No.
that. I'm not saying I'm going to be full of myself. I'm going to change, which I won't. I know I won't. If I change, I would have changed a long time ago. But a lot of people are saying you shouldn't say you're writing it to be rich and famous. That's not the only reason. That's part of it. But
Yeah.
be honest with yourself.
Of
Tell them
course.
that's part of it.
Every author has a goal.
Anyway, so
So Armenia doesn't have it, which
I-
they do now, but you're thinking about
no,
that.
they don't have it.
They don't have it. But
They
Turkey has it.
I don't know how Turkey has it because they don't have Amazon. They don't have, but I guess they found me. They even asked me to ship it to them. I mean, you
Yeah.
should have seen. It was a little bit hard for me to write an address. But what if they're Armenian living in Turkey? So I
Well,
took
there's
it
a
that
lot
way.
of Armenians living
So
in
I
Turkey.
just I
so-
sent it. Whatever. I'm not gonna. It's a love
Yeah.
story. It has nothing to do with politics.
Yeah.
You know, I still
Good.
feel the way I feel,
Yeah.
but this is a love story.
So beautiful. Okay.
And fast forward to here. A lot of these people around me never knew they were gonna interested in writing a book. All of a sudden, they wrote books and they tried to do the stuff ahead of me. To I don't want to go into it. So a lot of those people are out of my life because I couldn't believe they did that to me. But I don't want to get into it because this person's gonna know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Fast forward to Americana, a year of because they get the phone call, they look at my ISBN, self-published.
Mm-hmm.
I'm nobody. That's how they look at it. If you-
American. The
Oh,
Barnes and Nobles.
every bookstore,
Really?
every bookstore. If you're self-published, they're not into you. 1 year of going back and forth and back and forth. Finally, I got in. So I'm thinking it's Americana. Downstairs are my people, full of young, beautiful
Mhm.
kids walking around.
Mm-hmm.
There's posters. They finally put it on their Instagram. There's signs. They were even like on the second floor walking around looking. Not one Armenian person came up.
Oh my
book sign.
gosh.
I had a lot of people, but just from my followers from Instagram. People from other states flew in. But my Armenian people downstairs, okay, maybe you didn't know about it. I understand. Some of them, I'm not saying all of them,
Mm-hmm.
but they were doing this. Let's say this is the book.
Oh.
You know how they say don't judge a book by its cover? Like they're looking at me. Who is she to write? In their head, you have to be young, thin, and beautiful to know about romance. They have no clue. The most romantic writers are not what they don't look what you think the way they look.
Mm.
Okay?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, people say no, people don't judge. True readers, they don't judge. The ones that read 3-4 books a week. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the teenagers.
Yeah.
So
That was your experience.
that was my experience. It was so embarrassing because they had a separate register just for wintertime because they thought
My.
the Armenians, it's going to be out the door. They even had ready bracelets made where you put a bracelet on
Oh my.
and you get a book and you go upstairs.
How did you feel? How did you feel?
It was the first time I wanted to dig a hole and stick my head in it because of what the manager said to me. She
What
didn't
did-
say anything bad, but she couldn't believe it. She couldn't believe. She goes, not one of your people came up. We did major social media. Even that day, there's signs out there.
Mm-hmm. Outside the
Outside.
bookstore, yeah.
For $16.99, you come up, you meet me, you get the book, I sign it. You saw all the goodies I gave away, the drawstrings bag, the pen, the bookmark, coffee. I mean, I'll give you a sample. There's one person, she paid $16.99. I signed the book. She took a picture with me. She took pictures with other people that were cute, that were there for me, but they thought they were part, but whatever. I gave the drawstring bag. I gave a bookmark. I gave a pen. She's still doing this for $16.99. I go, would you like a gift card for $5 to Starbucks? Yeah. I'm like, get the heck out of here, man. I was just joking. There was
Yeah.
like, how much more do you want? And it's costing me money even as self-published, people think
Mm-hmm.
Amazon takes about $5 almost to print it and takes 40% after that. So imagine I have $10 and they take 40%. So that's how much
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't make,
Yeah.
because people read it and they read it wrong. After what it cost them, they take another 40%. It's not
Yeah.
just 40%. So people were like, they're there for the freebies, some of them. But I got major support from obviously my husband, my kids, my mom, my
Mm-hmm.
brother, my cousins, very few friends, a lot of my supporters on Instagram, and a lot of new people that they were very happy that
Yeah.
they would just happen to be there that day. So I was very
I
embarrassed,
I could understand
very
that.
embarrassed as an Armenian that they didn't come up. And then a month later, I had it at the Grove. That one was a good turnout.
Good.
The, again, not a lot of Armenians from downstairs, but I, I already went through that one, so I knew it wasn't gonna.
And that's tough on a it's a tough on a new author too. You know, you want the recognition, you want people, your people to be proud of you, and those things feel good for a person. I
Yes,
don't care what you want to say. Praise feels wonderful, especially when you're doing something so big for your community. And so I can imagine how hurtful it is.
it was. I. I'll be honest with you. All the way home, I cried. My husband's like,
Yeah, that doesn't sit well with the person for
"Yeah."
sure. I can
I was
imagine.
like, "What just happened?" I got this girl to put a regular. I mean, she offered it. She thought, all these Armenians are gonna be in
Yeah.
line and they're gonna, you know,
Yeah, she was preparing things for
yeah,
you and your
thinking,
audience.
yeah, thinking,
Oh yeah, it's like having
it's
a
gonna be,
concert and no one's showing up.
yeah. I mean,
Absolutely.
a lot of people showed up again, but not my people,
Yeah.
not the support that I
Oh
wanted.
man.
But I got support from so many different ethnicities, so
Yeah.
many people. So I'm very thankful.
Yeah.
Those all those people who know who they are that came.
Well, after this release, I hope that people definitely will be more supportive, and I think that we definitely should be. And yeah, that breaks my heart because I think that in anything you do in life, particularly writing a book or singing a song, but since you're here, we're talking about a book, it does have its rejections. And it does come with a lot of
Oh
rejections
yes,
until
I
you
was
fully
ready for
make it.
that. Yeah.
Exactly. I see. I don't think. Do you feel like your people could be ready for? I don't think for personally for me, I don't think that I'm ever ready for rejection. It's just such a horrible
Yeah.
feeling
You know,
that
I
you're never ready for it.
I don't want people to think, oh, just because I'm Armenian, I have to buy your book. No, that's not
That's
what I'm
not what we're talking
saying.
about. Yeah.
I don't want people to say, well, who do you think you are? You just wrote a book. Everybody has one story. That's another thing they said. Everybody has. Okay, now second book is coming out. Hopefully they'll see that. No, I have more than one story. I have
Yeah.
actually the third one's called Winter Dream. So the third one, as soon as this is up and going, I will write Winter Dream. But I don't expect you to support. But if I see IAN anywhere, even if it's a
Mm,
piece of crap, they put it in a box, but it has IAN, I'll buy it just to support them. I mean, today,
yeah.
Alex and Ani,
Yeah.
what I brought you, another Armenian. Where I bought it from, another Armenian. I support everybody, but it's very natural for you to support you. And if people say that's prejudice, this that, it's not prejudice. Those people who aren't saying it, they're not being honest with themselves.
Mm,
If you see two kids coming walking towards you, one of them is your kid, the other one is not. They both fall. Of course you're gonna go run, help both of them. But of course you're gonna grab your kid
yeah.
first. It's a natural
It
thing. But
is. Yeah.
people
I
right
understand.
away they racist
No,
this
I
that.
just think that I think that you just want the moral love and support from your community, Sevan, and I think it's very understandable. And I think that you definitely should get what you deserve because
Yeah,
it's beautiful, and I hope that you do. I really do. Sevan, what should we expect in the second book, and when is the second story coming out? Winter
love,
Land,
love.
Winter Love
Yes,
is the
winter
second.
love.
Winter Dream is the third
Third
one.
one. Yes,
So there's how many series?
three.
Four, three.
It could be four because winter love. I thought it was gonna be the much further, but I kept writing and writing
Oh
and
my
writing. I'm
gosh.
like, so I asked on Instagram if I do write, if the story doesn't finish and I have to write a fourth book for this saga, what should I Um, what should I name the fourth book? Like a bunch of cute answers, and they
That's
people DM
lovely.
me and saying what I should call it. So I have the
What's
fourth.
what's one thing you want to call the fourth one?
Winter Forever is one of them.
Oh,
Because remember, it's not
yeah.
only she likes the cold; it's the guy's last name. He's British, William Winter, and she's American, Victoria Evans. Which
How did
is
you come up with the characters, by the way? I didn't
oh
even
yeah,
ask you.
yeah. Okay, Victoria is my grandma's name.
Yes, I remember you
Yeah,
told me that.
Evans is my name, Sevan. I just took the
Uh
S
huh.
and added to the end. William, three reasons. Of course, William Saroyan
Yes.
and William Shakespeare. And my favorite are Prince William
Yeah.
from England, which his mom, he's 0.00 whatever, 1/6 they say Armenian, Lady Diana. But yeah, because of that. And the rest of them, are a couple of them who bullied me in high school. I used their first real name, but not their,
No way.
yeah, because I got bullied severely.
Sevan.
Severely. Yeah,
Sevan.
yeah,
You
yeah.
used the names of your bullies in the story?
The first one, first names,
What's
not
the first name?
Jennifer. Jennifer. Because I went to an American public school.
You used Jennifer.
Of course I did.
What if
She
the
bullied the heck out of me for years. For years.
Sevan, this book is gonna make it, and Jennifer's gonna want a big chunk
Yeah.
from
Jennifer,
Jennifer.
I expect you to find me on Instagram at Sevan Time and apologize to me for making fun of my Armenian food because it wasn't hamburger. It was rolled kebab.
You're so
Yes,
funny.
and I didn't have ranch. I had hummus to dip my stuff in.
You know what
Yeah.
I just remembered
Yeah.
in my big Greek
Fat-
fag wedding when
yeah.
she has
Moussaka.
moussaka, and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
girl's like moussaka.
Yeah. Exactly. I lived that movie, but when I lived it, there was
You
no
look
Armenian.
like Tula too, though.
Yeah, I do. A lot of people say that. I lived
You
that
do.
movie because we came here. I was 7 years old. No, I turned 8 when I came here. So there in 1980, who
Yeah,
who knows
Armenian?
And
Who's
in the
an
valley,
Armenian?
forget it.
Did your
Forget
dad also tell you when you were 10, you're get married, you look
No,
old?
no. I wasn't.
You said you lived the movie, so
No,
I'm
I mean
thinking,
like the bullying part. But they bullied. She got bullied much.
yeah.
I'm talking
Poor
about
Tula.
yeah. So I came up with some of the names like that, and the other names, I whatever movie I watched and I liked her name, and so I put that kind of characteristic to that person
That's so fun.
instead of coming up with some weird name. Like I love the name Leonard
Uh-huh.
because the guy who played
Mhm.
Romeo in Romeo and Juliet in 1968 version, which is my favorite, which is in the book, his name is Leonard.
That is so
I
fun.
named one of the, but he's not in this book.
So
He's in the
nothing
second
in
book.
this book is fake. Everything is just from real your
Yes.
imagination as well. Yes,
course.
but also people who are in your lives. You just twisted it up a little bit and give
Yes.
it a
Yes.
like Jennifer.
Yes. No, it's Jennifer.
Jennifer, is that
Yeah.
how she said it?
Yeah.
Were you really bullied, Sevan?
I'm sorry?
Were you really bullied in school?
To the kind where you won't believe me if I tell you.
No way.
Yeah. Like severely, like physically, like
What do you mean?
hitting,
Sevan.
pushing me into the toilet and
Oh my
locking me
goodness.
up. Oh yeah, putting gum in my hair. Making fun of A to Z. And usually people could become sometimes depressed and suicidal. I took the other route. I became stronger and stronger and stronger. And the one person, her name is Mrs. Strong. That's my teacher.
Mrs. Strong?
Her name was Miss. I'm looking for her. I hope she's alive. Her name is Mrs. Strong from Cleveland High School. And as a matter of fact, one of the characters I said I couldn't use her real name. I named it Mrs. Stewart. And I said in the book, I think of her as Mrs. Strong
No.
in the book because I love her so much, because she saw how severely bullied I got at PE. I hope I don't get her in trouble because this is like 35 years later.
You're
But
not going to get her in trouble.
she said, Sevan, you're going to punch her face in, and I'm not going to see it and say that she ran into the wall. And one time in my life, I punched her. I guess the night before
Jennifer?
She got braces. I did not know. So she started bleeding. And then I felt bad.
Hold on a second. Mrs. Strong said, "You're going to go punch her in the face and I'm going to pretend I didn't see it."
And then she goes, "I saw you. You ran into the wall." So I love her for that.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a teacher.
That's it, because she said enough is enough. I
That's
mean,
a
she
teacher.
sees me constantly. They hit.
Boy.
Right? So, but I didn't know Jennifer had braces on the night before. She went to the dentist and with the rubber bands and everything. So when I punched her, she started. I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And she goes, "I'm bleeding." I'm like, "Oh,
And your
dear
teachers-
Lord."
You know what I love about this whole story is your teacher said, "I saw you. You ran into the
Yeah,
wall."
she said. I looked at her. She goes, "You saw it?" She goes, "Yes." He goes, "I saw it. I saw you ran into the wall when you came around the corner." And I'm like,
I love that.
I love her for doing that. So she went and told the
But you
principal,
see-
and the teacher still said, "No, she ran into the wall. She's blaming me."
Oh my gosh, she
So I didn't
defended
get
her.
in trouble. I didn't.
But
get
this is what I'm talking about. Look at what she did. And all these years later, which is not that many, but still, you remember her.
Oh yeah,
Because she
Yeah.
stood up for what was
Yeah.
right. And she stood up for you.
we're talking years of bullying. I took it a lot. This is not like 1 day, 2 day, 1 week.
Yeah.
Years and years, and she bullied and bullied and bullied. Where even she said, "Sevan, you have to stand up for yourself." I was so scared. And
Aw.
it's not funny, but I told no one. My mom, my dad had enough problems, moving from one country. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna go add more stress to them.
Mhm.
So I kept this all to myself, including my best friend. You want to know when my best friend found out? Of 40 years,
Hmm.
on the book signing day.
Oh my God.
I saw her in the audience. She was like, she couldn't believe it. She's my best friend. She had no idea I was getting that severely bullied. That's how much. And I used to go home, shut the door, and just put the comforter in my mouth so my mom can't hear me cry, because I didn't want to stress her out. It was that bad. So Jennifer deserved that punch. It was just one punch.
Sometimes you
Listen,
got to put them
I
in
don't-
their place.
I don't
Yeah.
want the kids to think violence. It wasn't violence, but heck, this is 1987. Things were different then.
Hey, but you know what? It made one hell of a story.
It sure did. Guess what? Next day, Jennifer turned right to get dressed instead of to the left of the locker in PE, because that's where I was. She didn't. She made sure I never.
Wow.
Yeah. And then
You're such a great storyteller, though.
Yeah.
This is why, this is your purpose, being an
Oh
author.
yeah,
This is your purpose.
I love telling stories.
Yeah, but when you do, you draw people in. I
Yeah.
love listening when you're telling a story. I'm so interested. Why don't you do a thing for this? Audible. Audio.
Yeah.
What
yeah,
Audible,
yeah.
And you read it.
My voice doesn't
No,
sound good.
It does sound good. That's what I'm
like
saying.
young. Like I want to.
Who said that?
Because it's a 16-year-old, and they're gonna expect a 16-year-old's voice.
No, but what I'm saying is when you talk,
Uh-huh.
you draw me in because you tell a story with such passion and your body moves too
Yeah.
when you're talking.
Yeah, I do.
You know, when
I'm actually trying to hold myself because I move a lot more than this.
you know Edith Piaf?
I'm sorry?
Do you know Edith Piaf?
No.
So she's a French singer, Edith Piaf, that sang La Vie en Rose.
Oh yes. Okay. Yeah.
Na, 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 na,
Na, na, na, na, na, na. Actually, in one of my posts, I used yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So she's the original singer,
Yes,
right?
she
And
is.
there's a
The-
movie.
Yeah, very old. I have
very
the
old from the
version.
1930s and 40s, right?
I love the way she goes whatever. When she sings that song.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So you're so funny. So there's a movie, Marine Cotillard. She's a French actress that did the movie called La Vie en Rose.
Oh.
It won with Russell Crowe. They won several Academy Awards. But anywho, in Edith Piaf, when she started singing, she had a very powerful voice. But her managers and her producers, they said that her voice wasn't enough. Even though it's enough to really shake an audience,
Yes.
they guided her to use her body when she was singing. So when Edith Piaf is singing, she articulates her songs with her hands and the movements of her fingers.
Yes.
And that's because it's hypnosis in a way. It draws
Yes.
people in. So you naturally have that. I was just going to validate that when you tell a story, you use your body, your hair,
Oh,
your hair.
yes.
So it's like, what? And then what happened?
Yeah.
You know? So you're naturally drawn into it. That's why I say do a visual for this because it's fascinating. Like, I love it. The way you tell the story about Jennifer, your school. It's so good, Sevan. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Yes, it was. I had to go back and
Yeah.
go through a bunch of the good stuff, the bad stuff,
I
the
love
funny stuff,
it. I love
everything,
it.
everything. But yeah, I mean, Jennifer with her 5 girls behind her, just like the movie Mean Girls, the one in the front
Yeah.
and the
hmm
the
I could
followers
imagine.
that and some of those followers didn't want to follow; they just wanted to be in the popular group.
hmm
I'm so
Oh,
popular.
it's still happening
Yeah.
nowadays.
Yes. Yes.
But I'm so happy and I'm so, so, so proud of you. And I can't wait to watch you grow with Wintertime and the Saga. And I think that everybody, and including parents and teenagers, should definitely start reading this book. And they will. I know
They
that
will.
they
They
will.
will.
And it's going to be fascinating. And I thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Can I say one more thing about the book?
Of course you can.
Because I'm never done with my stories.
Yeah, I know. How could you be?
Okay. In movies, especially, you see rich people show off. They give them that kind of character, or they're not humble. They're just. But the people with money, the ones that had old money or it's not new money, they don't act like that. The real rich people don't act like
That's
that.
very true.
That's another thing I have in my book.
They're very humble, right?
They're very rich. They go on luxurious vacation. But you'll never know. They're very humble. So I wanted to teach these children, the
man.
kids, not every rich person is what you think in your head,
What you see.
what you see in movies and how people say, oh, she's rich. Those real rich people don't act like that.
That's
They're
so
very,
true.
very humble. They help quietly.
And I love how you teach that. I love how you teach the values, the morals, the humble.
Yeah.
And I think that that's missing in today's books and I'm also very happy you went against the literary agents and you went on to publish what you thought was right because we don't have a lot of books that teach. Now it's all about the difference, the woke culture, horrible,
Yes,
inappropriate,
yes.
but this is keeping our old Christian values. And if every Armenian parent and American should pick up Wintertime in the Saga, continuations, of course, coming up, and have their kids read it. I am for it.
Thank you. Thank you. Even the page, I told you this earlier.
Yeah.
It ends on 301.
Yeah.
Why? Because Armenians became Christian at 301. It was very hard for me to finish it on that. And then my logo is 2 angel wings with the butterfly, the Armenian cross.
Yeah.
I quote William Sarian in there.
Oh
and
my
the second book
gosh.
is more. I wrote a little bit more about social media bullying too, because social media bullying is.
I
didn't.
love this.
Yeah,
I
this
can't-
is more.
Oh, I'm so
yeah,
excited.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get all the copies. Signed.
You got it. It's all for you, and I thank you very much
Oh
for
my gosh.
having me here. I appreciate you
Of course.
giving an first-time author a chance. Not a lot of people did that. You're my first one. I did other small podcasts, but not where it was.
Oh my gosh.
So you're my first one. I was very happy to hear from you. I appreciate you calling me, and hopefully people love what I said. People love your questions. And if we missed anything, DM me. Follow me on
Yes.
Sevan Time, and that's SEVANTIME, one word. And please buy my books so I become really rich and maybe help out some young Armenians.
And I love the comedy too, by the way. You're hilarious.
Yeah.
You said you wanted to do stand-up comedy at one point, right?
Yes, but it has to be 18 and over.
There you go.
And there's too many things that you can't say under 18.
That's true.
Yeah.
But thank you,
Yes.
Sevan.
Yes, I would like to go. Open up for Jack Jr.
Ah,
Yeah.
you never know.
Yeah. Jack
Thank you.
Jr. and the chef Arzeda.
Yeah.
They're in my second book.
I know. Oh, no way.
Yes.
Wow.
You have to see how I put them there.
I love that.
them.
Do they know that?
Oh yes. I asked them for approval.
Good for you.
Yeah. So.
Well, I can't wait to read
yeah.
it. Thank
yeah,
you,
I,
Sevan.
yeah. Thank you.
I
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
for having me. And thank you to Kevok that's over there. That nobody ever sees. The poor guy just sitting there. I hope I didn't put you to sleep.
No, thank you.
So thank you, Kevok. Thank you.
Of course.